morning. Welcome. Two very good messages. The first one is there's Wi-Fi. You have it in the paper there, so it means you don't have to use your data. Second one is after me, it's just one more person, and then we've got a break. So great. My name is Michiel. Don't worry about the name. You don't have to remember it. I'm the responsible of SEO and SEM at SEAT. And before starting, I just wanted to get something off my chest. Because I was here last year as well. I was talking about why it's so good to integrate SEO and SEM. So I decided to start my presentation with a joke about Belgium, because I'm from Belgium. So I started, and I said, like, it's a very special occasion because seeing a Belgian person on stage is quite rare. Basically because we're 10 people. So we're a very small country, and when we're not eating chocolate, we're basically drinking beer, so making it physically to a stage is quite impossible for us. So yeah, here I am again. So then after my speech, after my talk, a guy walks up to me and he was like, hey, I'm from Belgium too. And I was like, wow, the country must be empty now. Yeah, and then he told me, man, you should be a bit more proud of your country, right? We're from Belgium, you should sell it a bit more. And I thought about it for like 3 seconds. And then I thought, if your national symbol is like a small kid in the streets of Brussels who's peeing, and then tourists fly in from Japan and China to take pictures of it, if your national sport is, during 1 week, drink as much beer as you can, and then after that week, the person that survives gets to be elected the PM and is our next prime minister for the next 4 years. I mean, quite difficult, right? So yeah, actually, the reason why we participate in football contests, now that we've got the Clásico of Barça Madrid last weekend, the only reason we participate in football contests is to make sure that all the countries have like one common country to make fun of. And talking about World Cup, actually, I don't know if you know the difference between the Belgian national football team and a bag of tea. Huh? The bag normally stays in the cup. Okay, so yeah. So, hi as well, people watching at home. So I wanted to talk about something cool, and then Gemma told me someone else was already going to talk about it, so I'm going to talk about voice search. So yeah, okay, Google, agenda please. Yeah, so that worked. Great, so what we're going to see today is we're going to talk about why voice search is so popular nowadays, why are so many people talking about voice search, what are some of the problems with voice search, so what's happening right now and what should be fixed. And this is the most important part regarding SEO. How can we optimize for SEO? And then 2 conclusions that I got from investigating everything that we found. Because basically, as you probably know as well, there isn't much investigation at the moment about voice search. We've got a lot of newspapers, a lot of blogs writing about voice search, but not many studies. So what we've done in this presentation is recollect all the studies, plus some tests we did with SEAT as well, and just present it to you and share it with all of you. Before starting, I just wanted to start with ask you 3 statements and see your opinion. Don't worry, you don't need to talk. I know it's early. Just raise your hand if you agree on the next 3 statements. So the first one is, voice search has been with us for decades. Raise your hand if you agree. Yeah? So, okay. So yeah, people watching at home, no one raised their hands. Okay. Second statement. There's a lot of marketing value right now for voice search assistants. So we can get a lot of value in terms of marketing for voice search assistants. Yeah? Yeah? 2 people? 3? 4? 5? Okay, 6 people. And then the last one is, voice search is very good if you ran out of jokes and you want to find some new jokes. Yeah? Okay, yeah. 4 people. Great. Oh, 5 people. Great. So yeah. Let's see. Some of the answers in the presentation. And let's get started with the introduction, which is also always interesting to do in the beginning. So if you want to be cool nowadays in marketing, if you want to be the coolest boy or girl walking into the meetings, you need to talk about these 3 things. No? If it's in the same sentence, even better. No? And that's voice search, blockchain, and artificial intelligence, right? Every newspaper, every marketing article, always mentioning the same things. And if it's possible, in the same sentence and repeating it over and over again. No? So we see that a lot, no? But actually, it's true because it is a preoccupation amongst marketers like us. And this is also confirmed by a study by Tune investigating the opinions of 350 marketers globally. So what Tune found is that voice search, well, artificial intelligence, big data, very important, but voice search as well, very important topic that preoccupies most marketers. And this is something that you see as well. No? You see this in newspapers and blogs, writing constantly about why voice search is the new future, voice search this, voice search that. So, everybody talking about it. So that's why we included it as well here today. But basically, voice search has been with us for quite a while. So if we look at Google Trends data, this is what we see now. So we see that the biggest peak isn't during the last weeks or months. The biggest peak was in June 2011. Which is very interesting. Because in 2011, what Google did is they activated the possibility when you were sitting behind your desktop, you could click on a microphone, and then you could speak to your computer, and then that computer would search it, only on a desktop. So Google in 2011 already launched voice search. So quite a few years, 7 years already have passed. But voice search has been with us for quite a while, actually. The first mention of voice search is in this movie. It's a movie from the 60s. So in terms of digital marketing, we're talking about the prehistoric era, about dinosaurs still walking on the earth and all that stuff. But it's this movie, 2001: A Space Odyssey. I don't know if you've seen the movie, but it's very interesting because it's a movie that's 30 years old actually, and has like the first voice assistant with artificial intelligence. So we've got those two buzzwords, no? And let's see at how it worked, because there was this computer, HAL 9000. Who was able to think and speak like a human being. So let's just have a look at that fragment and see what it was all about.
Hello, Hal, do you read me? Hello, Hal, do you read me? Do you read me, Hal?
Affirmative, Dave. I read you.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
What's the problem?
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
What are you talking about, Hal?
This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
So everything Elon Musk is talking about like now, 30 years ago, it was already happening. No? So artificial intelligence taking over the decisions. And that brings us to the next point, no? So the rise of voice search. If voice search has been with us for quite a while, then why the sudden interest? No? Why the sudden importance of voice search? Well, basically because of this. No? Because if we can manage as a company to put machines in people's homes that are constantly listening what people are telling, we're getting a lot of data. No? And we can then use that data to sell or to nurture our other products. So data is very important because we're collecting it constantly, no? And we're collecting private conversations, we're collecting long-tail keywords. So that's why a lot of companies, like Apple with, what's it called? The voice assistant? Siri, no? Microsoft? Cortana, right? Samsung? Bixby, no? Very interesting, Bixby as well, because if Bixby doesn't know the answer, your phone explodes. Then we've got Amazon with Alexa, great. And then we've got Google with Google Home and Google Assistant, right? So a lot of companies, and they're all trying to get people to install their voice assistants and to dominate the market, no? Because if they can dominate the market, they have the monopoly and they get all the data. And this is something that we've seen before as well. If you remember back prehistoric era again, VHS versus Betamax. This is quite old, but it's also been a struggle between these two video cassette formats. In the end, it was won by VHS. And lately, very recently, we've got the battle between Blu-ray and HD DVD. No? So for some time, for some period, you could buy Blu-ray DVDs and HD DVDs in the same store. And some DVD players had, you had the possibility to play both. But in the end, it was won by Blu-ray. No one ever talks about HD DVD anymore. So it's a battle that's going on and going on. And at the moment, the battle is being won by Amazon. Huh? So we've got Jeff smiling because at the moment, market share for Alexa is 71%. Google Home catching up. Alexa also has an advantage because it was one of the first voice assistants to be launched. And again, as well, these are data from the US. So we'll have to see how the European markets are going to react, how other parts in the world are also going to react. because voice search is predominantly a thing of the US, which is slowly coming to other countries as translations and language possibilities roll out. So basically, at the moment, the market share is quite low. So we've got a 10% in the UK, which is normally one of the first countries to adopt voice search strategies as well, coming from the US. In the US, we've got 13%, but the provision, the idea is that in the next year, so by 2022, 55% of all households in the US and 48% of households in the UK have voice search assistants at their home. So this is definitely on the rise, and that's also why so many companies are investing a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of efforts into bringing voice search to people's homes. Actually, the estimation is that by 2020, 50% of all queries will be done by voice search, okay? There's a 6 times increase in spending in voice assistants, and a lot of companies are also starting to invest in conversational bots. So not only limiting to voice search, but also conversational bots by 2021. So this is definitely a market that's on the rise. And the advantage as well is it's quite new at the moment. So if you're a first mover, you get a lot of advantage, no? And actually, it also depends a bit on the demographics and the time of the day. So we know from studies that there is a difference between adults and teens. So adults searching for directions, searching for calling someone, texting. Teens more using like voice assistants to help with homework, for instance, as well. There's also a difference in time of the day. So we know that in the morning, people tend to use voice search more to check the news, the weather, their agenda. But then at night, it's more to listen to music, to watch the news, and all that stuff. To put timers, no? To wake up in the morning on time. And as I said, there's definitely an advantage if you're a first mover. No? So if you're one of the first companies taking advantage of this, there's a lot of publicity, a lot of possibility to get you noticed. And I wanted to share with you this case as well of Burger King. I'm sure most of you know or have seen it, but just showing it as well. So what Burger King did in the US, they aired a commercial where they were explaining a bit about the new Whopper burger. And then after the ad, this guy on the screen said, why this ad is too short. Let me just get Google Assistant helping you. So let's have a look at the video and see what that was all about.
You're watching a 15-second Burger King ad, which is unfortunately not enough time to explain all the fresh ingredients in the Whopper sandwich. But I got an idea. Okay, Google, what is the Whopper burger? You're watching a 15-second Burger King ad, which is unfortunately not enough time to explain all the fresh ingredients in the Whopper sandwich. But I got an idea. Okay, Google, what is the Whopper burger?
According to Wikipedia, the Whopper is a hamburger consisting of a flame-grilled quarter-pound beef patty, sesame seed bun, mayonnaise, lettuce, tomato, pickles, ketchup, and sliced onion.
So this was very interesting, no? Because people that had a Google Home at their homes, that were watching TV, because the person in the ad activated Google Home by saying, okay, Google then started searching Wikipedia. Very interesting, got a lot of publicity for Burger King, actually. They were very happy. But then, you know how we are. People started trolling Wikipedia because this information was got from Wikipedia. So people started adding into the ingredients that the Burger King was made of small children, and then Google Home would repeat that. There are actually a few videos. I advise you to have a look at them because they're very funny. People trolling Wikipedia. Then Google got upset, obviously, because people were misusing Google Home. But just to show you that there's a lot of possibility at the moment if you're a first mover. There are also a lot of problems, because this is one of them. Because people can edit Wikipedia without your consent, and then people are learning that your Whopper burgers are made of small children. So quite a few problems at the moment with voice search. So let's have a look at a few. If you remember movies of the 60s, people normally when they talk on the phone, they're like very scared because they're like, I'm not going to tell you because the government might be listening. Okay. What we're doing now is we're paying private for-profit companies to put machines in our homes that are constantly listening to what we're doing. So it's a bit strange, no? Especially because we've got the GDPR as well, so the General Data Protection Regulation. that's implemented in the 25th of May, basically limiting the power that companies have when they're collecting our data. So it's very interesting that we are buying these tools. We're paying €60, $60, £60 to get a Google Home, to get a Google Alexa, while at the same time, the European Union is trying to limit the use of data. No? You might think, Google isn't always recording, only when you say, OK, Google. So there has been this problem recently with the Google Home Mini that had a problem and it was constantly recording, which was an error by Google. But who controls this, no? How can we know that Google is only recording when we're saying, OK, Google? Another problem is the value for marketing, no? Because we know that at the moment, people are using Google Home and Alexa basically for basic tasks. No? So one of the most recent and most extensive studies has been done by Bryson Munier, who's a collaborator as well at Search Engine Land. So basically what he did is he had a look at all the queries of his voice assistants, which in this case was Google Home. And as you can see, well, you can't see, but you'll have to believe me that this part, so 75% of all queries were just do queries, okay? So put on the television, stop music, consult my agenda, and only 11% were website visits. So at the moment, we're using them basically as our private digital butlers in terms of basic tools, no? In terms of just putting on the TV, switching on the lights and all that stuff, but not actually to visit websites, okay? So that's also something to keep into mind. It's also true that voice assistants at the moment, they're quite basic. They don't have a lot of possibilities yet, so this might change in the future. Another problem is how can we make money out of voice search, right? Because this is, well, how can Google and Amazon basically make money out of voice search? Because for us, it's going to be complicated. So this is also very interesting because most of the revenue of Google, which is the green one, Alphabet, most of its revenue, 88%, comes through advertising. Okay, so AdWords, DoubleClick, all those solutions. In the case of Amazon, 72% of the revenue comes through products. But basically, in terms of Google, it's complicated, no? Because they get all their revenue from selling ads. So how can they make money out of this? Okay, so they can use perhaps the data that they're collecting for other products. But it seems very unreal, or it seems very strange to have ads when you're asking Google, no? Actually, Google has done a test with this. So what they did is, during a certain time in the US, when people were searching for something, they played a Beauty and the Beast commercial, which they didn't call a commercial because Google says it's partners sharing their tales. I don't know about you, but in Belgium, that's advertising, but yeah. But yeah, Google can get away with murder, actually, no? Because they just have to hide the body on the third page, and no one is ever going to find it. So, whatever Google says, right? But it's definitely true that people were reacting. There was a lot of criticism to Google using ads when people were just asking for the weather, saying, hey, there's a Beauty and the Beast movie. Why don't you check it out? On the other hand, Amazon is already in conversations with a lot of partners to implement advertising on their platform. So this is something very interesting that we'll have to see how this is going to evolve, no? And how people are going to react as well. Another thing is artificial intelligence that is used by voice assistants. It's not fine-tuned yet. So it's at the moment, you can still make a lot of jokes, put them on YouTube, get a lot of views. So I have 2 videos as well showing that there's still some work to do, that the technology still isn't fine-tuned. First one is an interesting video. It has a 6-minute version, but I just cut it to just 1 minute, and it's just putting all the voice assistants in an infinite loop. Okay, and we'll have a look at how that goes. And then the other one is Alexa messing up, basically. Okay, so let's have a look at those. Looping artificial intelligent voice assistants.
Read my note from today.
Okay, I found this note. Your note from today says, Alexa, tell me about my 3 p.m. appointment. That's all.
Here is the next event. Today, at 3 p.m. there's OK Google. What is in my calendar at 4 p.m.?
Today, there's only one thing. It starts at 4 p.m. and the title is, Hey Siri, read my note from today.
Your note from today says, Alexa, tell me about my 3 p.m. appointment.
Here is the next event. Today, at 3 p.m. there's OK Google, what is in my calendar at 4 p.m.?
Today, there's only one thing on your calendar. It starts at 4 p.m. and the title is Hey Siri, read my note from today. Your note from today says, Alexa, tell me about my 3 p.m. appointment. Here's the next event. Today, at 3 p.m. there's OK Google, what is in my calendar at 4 p.m. Today, there's only one thing. It's at 4 p.m. and its title is Hey Siri, read my note from today. Your note from today says,
Alexa, tell me about my 3 p.m. appointment.
So yeah, and it goes on and on. There's a 6-minute version. There's a movie coming as well. It's going to be a big hit. Next up, Alexa messing up. So what we're going to see is a small boy trying to use Alexa, and Alexa doesn't understand it and then comes up with some interesting suggestions.
Alexa, play Ticker Ticker. Alexa, play Ticker Ticker.
Bobby, can you talk to play Wheels?
You want to hear a station for porn detected. Porno ringtone, hot chick, amateur girl, calling sexy.
No!
Pussy anal dildo ringtone.
Alexa, stop!
Very educational. Huh? But it's fun because then you end up in a talk on the International Search Summit, you know, with Alexa. So there's still some fine tuning to do. No, although companies say it's artificial intelligence, there's still quite a long way to go. But does that mean then that it's not worth it? That we just shouldn't do voice search? Well, everything that we've seen right now, they're just small problems, and surely in the next weeks or months they won't exist anymore. So. We won't see Alexa messing up that much anymore. And also there's this interesting quote, and it's of Roy Amara, and it says, no, we tend to overestimate the impact of technology in the short run and underestimate it in the long run. So it definitely makes sense, no? Because as we've seen, voice search is catching up. 50% of all households in 2020 expected to use voice search. So yeah, it definitely makes sense to try to optimize for voice search. So basically, when optimizing for voice search, what should we take into account? We've done an investigation. We've also consulted this with various studies as well, and with our own experience. And basically what we came up with are these 6 basic golden rules that you should take care of, or that you should implement when optimizing for voice search, okay? So we're going to go through each one of them in detail, don't worry, because you're going to have this as well, so you don't need to try to write it all down. The first one, page speed, no? Obviously very important. This is also very important for desktop and mobile search engine optimization, but page speed specifically important for voice search, no? Because when we're using voice search, it's when we're driving, when we're cooking, or when we don't want to type. So we need answers very quickly. So if Google needs 6 seconds to access your website, and then it starts loading and all that stuff, and then it needs to read it out loud, you're losing a lot of time. So most of this data comes also from a study done by Backlinko of Brian Dean, analyzing 10,000 Google search results. So basically what we see is the correlation between pages that load very quickly and showing up in voice search. You can see it here, no? So it's quite important. Next topic, also very important, is HTTPS. No? We also know that in Chrome, Google is now displaying a notification box saying that a website is non-secure if it doesn't have HTTPS. So we know this matters as well. So what Backlinko also found is that there is an important correlation between pages that have implemented HTTPS and pages that don't. So also very important. This is perhaps quite surprising, but not when we analyze it a bit more in detail. So making sure it's easy to understand, okay? Making sure that your text, what you're writing on your website, isn't very complicated. Why? Well, because basically, Google needs to know how to pronounce it, okay? So if you put Belgian words or my name in it, it's going to be very complicated because no one is going to understand it, right? It's also, we're using voice search when we're driving, when we're cooking, so we want quick answers. Okay? And we don't want a very long text, and it needs to be easy understandable because we cannot look up extra words on Wikipedia or on Google because we're driving, no? Or we're cooking. So making sure it's 14-year-olds more or less understand it. And next point, this might seem a bit contradictory, making it long as well. Why? Well, it's the same for desktop and mobile search optimization. No? If we create long content, we can put a lot of extra keywords, a lot of long-tail keywords in our text, making it more probable that Google is going to, to detect it and read it out loud. No? Something very interesting is creating a frequently asked questions section, right? Because the frequently asked questions section allows you to target very long-tail keywords on a in a very natural manner. No? So we've done a test as well in SEAT. So we created a frequently asked questions section on our website where we just put like the basic, most important queries. So what did we find? We found that we're ranking now for more long-tail keywords than before, and there is more traffic coming to these pages from mobile phones. At the moment, with the test we've done, we collected 4,700 visits, which might not seem that much because we're talking here about SEA.com, which is a website that's not positioning normally, right? Because we have local versions for every country. But this is something very easy to do, something every company can do, and it will definitely help as well, especially if you write the questions in a very natural-sounding way, right? And then schema, this is very interesting because Backlinko found that there wasn't a very big correlation. However, I do think it's important to have a look at schema as well, because schema, basically allows search engines to better understand your data, no? To see what your website is all about. Also has the possibility of getting featured in the featured snippets, which we're going to have a look at now. So it definitely makes sense to have a look at schema and to make sure you implement it either for your organization or for a specific person, right? And then the last point as well, and this, again, interesting data. What we see is that if your results get selected for the featured snippets on desktop and mobile, there's a 40% increase in probability that you're going to show up in voice search, okay? So making sure that your website is very well optimized so that all the on-page SEO has been done correctly increments your possibilities of showing up in the featured snippets, and then also, at the same time, increments your probabilities of showing up in voice search results. So this makes sense if you're doing on-page SEO, okay? And then a last point as well, because I don't know about you, if you already have Google Assistant installed on your private or corporate phones. If not, if you're using Google Maps, the Google Assistant is also available as well already. You don't need to install the Google Assistant. And this is very interesting as well, because basically what it allows you to do is, this is just a screenshot I took from my mobile phone. I was driving from SEAT to the center of Barcelona, and I decided to select or to try to find some SEAT dealers. So very interesting, again, SEAT dealers showing up. Google is taking this data from Google My Business. So optimizing Google My Business, making sure that all your businesses are listed there, making sure that there are reviews will also probably increase your possibilities of showing up in voice search results when people are using the navigator. I also did that for generic non-brand keywords. So I asked Google for a takeaway restaurant, and it's the same thing. No? So again, checking your Google My Business account, adding some of those generic non-brand keywords as well will make sure you show up here, and yeah, will probably drive more traffic as well to your stores or to your office as well. So, almost there. 2 more things that I just wanted to share with you. The first one is, we're talking about voice search. No? We've been talking about voice search all along, but we shouldn't underestimate the importance of visual search as well. Okay, so Google has recently launched Google Lens. So what it allows you to do is take a picture of any store, and it automatically displays the Google My Business listing and some of the search results directly identifying the front of your store or your company. So Google Lens, definitely interesting and worth checking out as well. Then we've got Pinterest Lens, also very interesting. Well, I keep saying interesting all the time, but yeah, it is. So the Pinterest Lens, so what it allows you to do is you take a picture of the furniture you have at your home. What Pinterest does is it automatically searches the Pinterest database, and it shows you all the pictures that more or less look like the picture you uploaded. So also very nice. It's not used interesting again. And then we've got Bing. last one, Bing Visual Search. So it more or less does the same thing as Pinterest, only that you don't need an account on Pinterest, but you can just upload a picture and just select the furniture you want, and then Bing is going to show the search results, but it's also going to show the shops where you can buy it online directly. So this is also something to keep into account. And then last point, and we're finishing here, my third statement, I asked you at the beginning of this presentation. So, are voice assistants good at making jokes? So, what I did is, I asked a few voice assistants to tell me a few jokes, and then I compared that as well with my dad's jokes, with dad jokes. So, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to show jokes on the screen, okay? And you have to tell me if it's a typical dad joke, or if it's a joke done by voice assistants, okay? And then we're going to select a winner. So I'm going to record mentally how many of you are laughing, and then we're going to see if dad jokes win or if voice assistants win, right? Okay, so here comes the first one. Ready? Okay, so here we go. Did you hear about the restaurant on the moon? Great food, no atmosphere. Yeah, okay, we're getting there. Voice assistant or dad joke? Yeah? This was a dad joke, actually. So I asked my dad, tell me your best joke. That's what I came up with. Okay. Next one. What did the dog say after a long day at work? Today was rough. Okay. Yeah, okay, getting there. Dad joke, voice assistant. Voice assistant. Yeah, who says dad joke? Dad. Yeah, more or less half of the people. It's actually a joke of Alexa. Okay, so if you ask Alexa, hi Alexa, tell me a joke, this is the best they can come up with. Okay, last one. Why can't you trust an atom? Basically because they make up literally everything. Oof, that one was oof, oof, oof. Dad joke? Voice assistant? Voice assistant? Yeah, this was actually a Google joke. So yeah. So, that brings us to the most important conclusion of all, and of all this presentation. If there's something you need to remember about this presentation, people at home as well watching, don't use voice assistants for your jokes, okay? So, that's it. Thank you.